Welcome to the Weekly Haul, where every Friday we give you the biggest headlines that made the news and we recap everything into one video, and we try to do it under 5 minutes. So let's get to it. So we'll talk about the first article that I found extremely interesting. Florida trucking company owner was convicted for running a Ponzi scheme that defrauded investors of $112 million. How did he do it? Well, I'll recap it for you. So he actually had a trucking company with about 91 drivers and 166 power units. That's based on their FMCSA. But what he did was he started to get investors to invest money into this Ponzi scheme, where he would take money from investors and you would have to have a minimum of $25,000 in order to invest. But he was able to gather approximately $112 million from investors. So what he did was he would take from one investor, pay off the interest for the second investors, and he kept getting more and more people to invest in his Ponzi scheme. Anyways, he got busted, and now after a 2-week trial, the federal jury in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida convicted Sanjay Singh, 45 years old, of Coral Springs on November 8th, 8 counts of wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy charges. He also got denied for a motion to remain free on bond until his sentencing. So he will not be able to go free, and his sentencing is going to be on February 28th, 2025. What does this teach us? Well, if the investment is too good to be true, it usually is. Topic number 2, more layoffs are hitting our industry. So this article basically summarizes that the UPS is temporarily closing distribution centers in California and Colorado, leading to 849 jobs losses. Advanced Auto Parts is shutting down 4 distribution centers across the country, impacting 171 jobs. Great Dane, a trailer manufacturer, will lay off 151 workers in Danville, Pennsylvania on January 6th due to ongoing freight recession. And then we have Ryder Transportation Solution is cutting 40 jobs at logistics centers in Dixon, Illinois, with layoffs starting December 20th. Not good news for our industry. All right, now a really big one, okay? Headline from this week is that the FMCSA now proposes new rules on broker transparency, where a lot of people, a lot of carriers are waiting for this rule actually to come out, but this is just a proposal. This is not going into effect yet. So what do they want? They want brokers to keep records in electronic format. They want a revision to content of brokers' records, including itemized charges and fees. The third thing is that brokers must provide records upon request. And the fourth thing is records must be provided within 48 hours of a request. So I'm actually going to do a separate video about this, on what this means and what is the impact of this if this rule does come out on the transportation industry and on freight brokers. Now, let's get into our fourth topic for today. All right, another trucking company owner sentenced for PPP fraud. What in the world is PPP? The Paycheck Protection Program was introduced during the pandemic. Okay, so just to recap what happened, Harmon Shaw, owner of Freight Masters Inc. in Memphis, Tennessee, was sentenced to 30 months in a federal prison. Why? Because he submitted a false application in June 2020 with fabricated payroll information aided by an accomplice who received $260,000 in kickbacks. Holy. Shaw spent most of the $782,000 on personal expenses, including cars and gambling. Amazing. Freight Masters, now inactive, was a small trucking company with 2 drivers. Restitution ordered. Shaw must repay the full $782,000. So it's a good thing that they're busting down on this and they're actually giving 30 months in prison. Why? Because fraud cases undermines the trust and relief programs. So people that are reading this article might think twice before committing fraud. Now, there's definitely a lot of fraud in our industry, and we need to crack down more on it. So the more articles come out, the more people might think twice about committing fraud in this industry. All right, and then a couple of days ago, yet another article comes out about more layoffs in our industry. This time it's 2,400 layoffs in our industry. What do we have? So True Value Co. filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, closing 8 distribution centers, cutting 1,100 jobs. GXO Logistics closing California facility, 343 layoffs. CJ Logistics America shutting down 3 Georgia warehouses, 275 layoffs. DHL chain California and Texas facilities closing 216 jobs cut. PepsiCo closed Chicago plant, 131 layoffs. Reese Coca-Cola Modesto facility closure, 101 layoffs by January. Hunt and Sons closing a California facility, cutting 84 jobs, mostly drivers. Kuehne Nagel, 68 layoffs in Texas after losing an Ericsson contract. Americold Logistics shutting Georgia cold storage facility, 58 layoffs. Wow, this is nuts. Amazon, Milpitas, California facility to cut 57 jobs by December 27. Basically, in a nutshell, all these companies combined, 2,400 jobs are cut in our industry. What's going to happen to our industry? Well, I actually think that it's only going to get better from here. I don't think it can get much worse. So there's your recap on what has happened this week. This was a long one because there's a lot of news, so I tried to do it under 5 minutes, but join me every single week where I recap all the information that's happening in our industry, the biggest headlines out there. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel. I'm Ronan, and I'll catch you in my next video.